Great NBA players often develop a go-to move, something that gives them an advantage and that's hard to defend. Some moves, however, are more recognizable than others because they look different. They're super effective. Players use them often. With great apologies to George Gervin, who just missed the cut with his finger roll, we chose these top 10 signature moves in basketball history. When you're the tallest person on the court with the longest wingspan, and you can release the ball from your hand at the highest point, you get a shot that can hardly ever be blocked. Many have tried, and many have failed. Only Wilt Chamberlain managed to block it on 2 occasions, but Kareem's skyhook was largely unguardable. There was just no point in trying to stop it. You could only try to stand as close to the guy and hope he misses. And he didn't miss much. Kareem's skyhook was so effective that it earned the unofficial title of the most unguardable move in NBA history. And the numbers back it up, because Kareem has scored more points in the NBA than anyone, ever, and the vast majority of them came via his patented signature move. Kareem says he developed the shot because he often played with older competition as a kid, and that was the only shot he could shoot that didn't get smashed back in his face. Once he grew the way he did, it was over. When great skills meet excellent physical tools, that's when you get dominance. And that's precisely what Kareem did, on all levels. He was the most dominant high school and college player ever, winning 4 high school state championships and 3 NCAA titles with UCLA. To that, he added 6 NBA rings, along with 6 MVPs. That's quite a resume, and the skyhook is the main reason for it. Hakeem Olajuwon, Dream Shake. Hakeem Olajuwon is one of the best players of his generation and one of the greatest centers of all time. He was extremely nimble and graceful with his movement, and was the only center that could continuously pull off the moves that were usually reserved for guards. Crossovers and pull-up jumpers were regularly on the menu in Olajuwon's basketball kitchen, but it was one move that he perfected and made famous that was deadliest of all: the Dream Shake. Dream Shake consists of pivoting to one side and then quickly counter-pivoting to the other to shake off your opponent and have a free look at the basket. However, that's easier said than done, and nobody did it like Hakeem, aka the Dream. Yes, the move was so good that his creator got nicknamed after it. Hakeem is known to hold basketball camps where he teaches the Dream Shake and other post moves to current players, most notably LeBron James and Dwight Howard. Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, the Fadeaway. Just like Kareem used his height and length to create an unstoppable move, Michael used his unmatched leaping ability and superb footwork to create one of his own. The move was the Fadeaway, and it drove defenders crazy and led them to despair. It was hard to guard Michael anyway, but just when a defender thought he had done a great job and cut all of his lanes, Jordan would simply jump backwards to create space and shoot after the defender fell down. And when your nickname is Air Jordan, that would happen every single time. While Jordan was tormenting the entire league, there was another 6'6" shooting guard who watched him and tried to make his technique as flawless as Jordan's. Kobe Bryant was often called the second coming of Michael Jordan because of the obvious similarities between them. They played the same position, had similar size and killer mentality, and their moves, including the fadeaway, were almost identical. Looks of despair of their opponents were pretty similar too. Black Tornado, Shaquille O'Neal. When the question of who's the most dominant brute force that ever stepped on the NBA court, there could only be one answer: the Diesel, Superman, the Big Aristotle. Okay, those are several names, but they are all nicknames of one man, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq came to the NBA weighing less than 300 pounds and was successful even then. But in his prime, he was around 350 of pure muscle and vicious force that would dunk anything thrown his way. But there were other heavy centers in the league who weren't even effective, let alone dominant. What set Shaq apart was his agility and quickness. And in his prime, he was the best player in the league. Shaq's favorite move was to post up and lean on a defender with all his mass. And then, as the defender was using all his strength and focus just to stay in place, Shaq would spin off of him and dunk the ball. He named this move the Black Tornado because he would spin around so fast with great power, and it was deadly for the opponents. Shaq was a skilled post player, And as we said before, great skill and great physical gifts equal domination. And Shaq was arguably the most dominant player ever. Eurostep. Manu Ginobili. Some basketball moves already exist, but then certain players make them famous. That was the case with Manu Ginobili and the Eurostep. Eurostep was a move frequently used in, you guessed it, Europe, mainly in former Yugoslavia. It was first seen in the NBA in the early 90s, when one of the first European newcomers, Lithuanian Šarūnas Marčiulionis, started using it. When Manu came from Europe in the early 2000s, he dazzled with his flair, no-look passes, and deceptive athleticism. But it was the Eurostep that took the league by storm, because Manu would burn defender after defender by simply stepping around them and make one uncontested layup after another. That's when the move got dubbed the Eurostep, even though Ginobili only played in Europe and was from Argentina. After Manu, there have been many successful Eurostep practitioners and aficionados in the NBA, with James Harden and Giannis Antetokounmpo at the forefront. Crossover. Tim Hardaway and Allen Iverson. Crossover is a move that every guard in the world uses, from the first time they start playing organized basketball. It's a fundamental move, yet so effective, and that's why every young player wants to have it in their arsenal. And even though everyone has a crossover, the move is usually tied up to two people whose crossovers were so deadly that it became their signature move. Tim Hardaway and Allen Iverson. Despite the move was the same, these two players have done it differently. Hardaway's was tighter, and he went into the move more quickly than Iverson. Iverson, on the other hand, made his crossover wider. He had a long wingspan, and he would move the ball from one stretched arm to the other to lull the defender, which is best seen on the famous Jordan crossover. Despite the differences in styles, results were usually the same, with defenders stuck, or even worse, with broken ankles. Single-legged fadeaway. Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk's single-legged fadeaway was unstoppable, especially in his prime. Dirk is a 7-footer and one of the best shooters in NBA history. However, he was also one of the least athletic players, and he wouldn't be as effective if he hadn't trained with Holger Geschwindner, a German coach who trained him throughout his career and who taught him his signature move. Because he lacked athleticism, he couldn't jump backward and shoot a fadeaway like Kobe and MJ did. Instead, Dirk simply leaned away and used his height to shoot over the